let's quickly have a discussion with Zandile just to clarify what is the Work Readiness Programme for those of you who don't know. It's a program that's run by the QuadPara Association. Also joining us today, we have Nazeem, who has been participating in the program, and he'll speak a bit about what his experience was. But Zandile, maybe you want to kick off by just telling us a bit more about what the project's all about and how it came about.
The Work Readiness Programme is a program that is, it enables people with disabilities to learn about how they can carry themselves out in the workplace. It's basically skills on how to excel in the workplace. Aims to get the candidates ready for the workplace, and it has training programs which enables learners to learn the content that is essential to excel in the workplace. It has 13 modules, and just to name a few, it's communication, stress management, diversity in the workplace, business ethics, computer skills, and motivate and build a team, and quite a few more. The project looks at the development of the individual and not the group as a whole. So we are focusing on developing the individual and also looking at the disadvantages, how people with disabilities were advantaged. Now we're looking at upskilling people with disabilities. The program was initially tutored in 3 of our regions, which was Cape Town, which was Joburg, and Durban. But now, after COVID, since March, which was last year, due to COVID and the regulations of lockdown, we now have the program available online. So what happens is the candidates get given a tablet by QASA, and they do get a stipend for their daily needs, for example, to buy electricity or whatever they might need for them to make it easier for them to, continue with their assessments and excel in them. And they also do get a data stipend. So the data stipend is for them to buy data so that they can access their materials and also communicate with the trainers and also submit their assessments. So the program is now available nationally, and if you need to apply for the program, if you know anyone who wants to apply for the program, you can contact the QASA office, or you can contact her recruiter. Her email address is recruitment@qasa.co.za.
Great, thank you so much, Zandile. I think something that really stands out for me about the program that I really liked is the fact that you mentioned as well, it's a very comprehensive program. So it's not only about your computer skills that you need to go into the workplace, but it's also about some of the soft skills, like how do you communicate with the team? How do you manage the stress that you have with working a working environment? So it's really giving you a complete package in terms of skills that you need to go into the workplace and really thrive. So just quickly, you did now mention that currently the Work Readiness Programme is going online, obviously to keep the QASA staff members, but also the QASA members who participate in the program safe. But what else can candidates expect from the program?
The candidates can expect to learn a lot. Basically, it's also like there's an assessment that is done. The assessment is to develop the candidates as like holistically in a manner. So that will also certify the bridge between unemployment in South Africa. So this assessment basically assesses your development skills and what is it that you are strong in. So this assessment is done by Lisa Bradshaw, which is Bradshaw, LaRue and Company. It's a recruitment company where they do the assessment. That assessment is Lisa contacts the candidate, and the candidate does the assessment online as well, and they give you, Lisa will contact you and give you feedback, and will also give you feedback on this is what you're good at, this is what you need to focus on, or this is your speciality, and will basically try and uplift you and also focus on what can you do for your development. So each and every candidate who is part of the Work Readiness Programme will do the assessment, and it is done at the beginning of the program. Another thing that the candidates can expect is after the Work Readiness Programme, they can either get an internship, or they can get a learnership, or they can get permanent employment. And that is our key focus, to make sure that the learner or the member is placed for employment. And the final aspect is that we want them at the end of the day to be placed in permanent employment. So we are trying to bridge the gap in South Africa to say, okay, disabled individuals have been underprivileged, and we are looking out for them to say, okay, let's build relationships with companies, corporates, governments to help us and to also place them so that they can find employment.
I think that's wonderful. And as you also said, those tests are so important to the individual development. So making sure what is the needs of the individual and meeting those instead of just giving them a standard cookie cutter program, that doesn't necessarily addresses the specific things that they struggle with. So I think the last thing that we can quickly discuss before we hop on to Nazeem to find out from him what was his experience. I was just wondering, do we have any estimates of like how many how many candidates have gone through the program and what the program success rates are this far in terms of getting permanent employment for candidates?
92 candidates have gone through the program 2 days, and the success rate is 80%.
Wow. Yeah, that's very significant. So it's definitely worthwhile.
Yes, it definitely is worthwhile.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So yes, Nazeem, thank you so much for also joining us there from, I see you from the located in the Western Cape.
Okay. So yeah, what's the questions?
Yeah, so I just wanted to find out from you, when and why did you decide to apply to the project? How did you hear about it? All of that.
Okay, I heard about it. I saw it on Facebook, and a friend of mine, who I done learners for, she introduced me to the program. She asked, at that time, Laurie was still there with us with QAWC. She was a program manager, project coordinator. No, yeah, in Cape Town. So she contacted me. I sent her my requirements that's needed for her, and they accepted me. So I've been a paraplegic for 20 years now, and since my injury, I haven't worked or anything. So the program changed my life completely. Since while I was on the program, we were doing interviews at QAWCA for a program assistant, and that's how I got the internship at QAWCA. Yeah, and so I been there for my 12 months, completing my internship, and they decided to keep me there. So due to COVID-19, I'm only working part-time right now. But I think that if it wasn't for Corona and the lockdown regulations, I might have been permanent already.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's wonderful. I'm so happy to hear that the program was able to provide you with this opportunity. And I think you're completely right in saying that COVID has unfortunately, changed a lot of our lives, made some things unfortunately part-time instead of full-time, but we're happy that you still have that employment opportunity. So maybe you can speak and share with our readers a bit more about the specific things that, the program taught you, and maybe some skills or whether it's soft skills or technical skills that have helped you in finding and keeping a position.
Right. So I wasn't really, how can I say now, like computers and stuff. I didn't still know too much about it. I knew how to put on and off, and that was it. And since then, I started my internship as a program assistant, and my role changed now to the social communications officer, which I'm now in charge of QAWC, all their social media platforms. They put me on the course, also social media management course, which I completed at the end of last year. And so, yes, while I'm working, I'm practicing those skills also. Yeah. And the thing about the program before, it was online. It was like you have to wake up early, or like stuff that you're not used to doing, to be on time for work. And basically, while we were on the program, it was like we were employed already.
Yes.
Yes, and we were we started we started out as 5 candidates on our program in Cape Town. About 5, yes. Unfortunately, one dropped out, and so we were 4 left, and 3 out of the 4 candidates we found employment.
Oh, that
Yes,
is that.
and we're still keeping in contact with each other.
That's wonderful. I can imagine that going through such a program together would definitely create a nice bond between everyone who's involved. That's wonderful. And I think something that you also really kind of touched on, maybe inadvertently, was what Nkosinathi was talking about, is you know, just getting that opportunity, because how wonderful that you were able to go through a social media course, you know, and get those additional skills, which will be very helpful going forward.
Yes.
And I think also, you know, going from someone who doesn't know quite a lot about computers to being a social media management is quite a jump. So congratulations on that as well. That's really awesome. Yeah, and then just lastly, I wanted to find out from you, you know, would you recommend it to others? And what do you think would be the value for anyone who's thinking of doing the project?
Definitely, I'll definitely recommend it, yes. Like you say, it's a work readiness program, so it basically prepares you for the workplace. That was the biggest experience for me. Like, yeah, that's like you, like I said earlier, it's like you're already working while you're on the program. Yes, and besides everything else, they help you find opportunities, but at the same time, you're helping yourself. So you can't just sit back and just wait for people to do stuff for you. You have to put in the effort as well.
Yeah, I think that's so valuable as well, because at the end of the day, if you don't put in the work, the program's not really going to provide any assistance for you. So thank you so much for your time and for coming on with and chatting with us. We really appreciate it. We know you're also very busy, even though you're only working part-time right now. Social media can keep one very busy. So thank you so much for that. We are going to open up the floor. So if there's anyone who has any questions that they would like to ask or any comments, you are more than welcome to do so now. While we wait for everyone to just pop us a question, Zandile, I thought maybe you could speak to something that Nazeem mentioned in terms of, with the project going online, we do now have a situation where the candidates miss out on some of those practical skills, like waking up early to be at the project, you know, being dressed appropriately. How has the project kind of incorporated those elements, or still made sure that these skills get brought to the candidates, even though it's online?
So then we're trying to make sure that they adhere to the working hours. Yes, things have changed, and unfortunately, we don't have control over that in terms of them having access to the training center, or them, you know, dressing appropriately for the workplace. But they are aware of it, that obviously you need to be dressed appropriately, and there's only so much that we can do now with COVID in terms of them dressing appropriately. But we do have our trainers who make sure that they constantly remind the candidates that you should be available from 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock. So that means that they can be aware that these are the working hours. And as I said, there's nothing much we can do on our side in terms of just making sure that we would go, like, reach out to them and inform them that these are the working hours and this is what is expected of you. Because there is a module that includes interview skills. And in that interview skills, it does say that you should always be, it teaches you a lot about the workplace in terms of how you dress, how you handle yourself. So we would like the candidates to, even though they are at home, practice that, you know, for the workplace, and not when you get to the workplace, because obviously sometimes if you've never worked, if you're trying something, if you're doing something new, you won't be able to, some will not be able to do it overnight. So the more you practice it, the better it becomes. So we do want to encourage candidates to learn that if something starts at 9 and it ends at 3. Be available from 9 to 3 and make sure that you're committed to whatever you're doing. And it helps you in a way that you can finish your assessments on time. That also makes sure that you meet your deadlines for the future in the workplace as well.
Yeah. I think that's true. And I think that also kind of touches on what Nazeem was saying in terms of people need to be committed. There's only so much the organization can do to help you through the program. If you don't put in the time and effort and dedication, you know, you won't get the same value out as maybe another candidate who's giving it 110%. I also feel like a lot of what the program at the moment has to go through speaks to the environment where we are at the moment, where if you're working remotely instead of at the office, which a lot of us are doing, you know, whether it's all the time or just some of the time, you know, you also have to have that discipline of saying you're going to get up and do your work when it's due, and, you know, it's time to do it. You know, wake up and work at 8 and not try and sleep till 10. Like, that's not, yeah. So
a friend of mine was telling me, like, I think she was telling me yesterday, she had a Zoom meeting, a very important Zoom meeting with a client, and she was in her PJs on the couch. And she does not know when the camera came on. Like, she didn't know how she switched on the camera. So I think as much as, you know, we should try and avoid such things. Yes, it happens. It happens to the very best of us. But, you know, try and avoid, you know, even if it's like a photo of you like this, you know, like a half photo, just to make sure, or just to make sure you're awake and ready to start the day.
Yeah, because I think at the end of the day, I think most people are trying to make themselves a little bit more comfortable, but, you know, still making sure that you're presentable. Some things will be unavoidable, like children yelling in the background or a cat jumping into the screen, but at least you can make sure that you're presentable and look great. But luckily they have a really great team at QASA to help support them. Zandile, I know you know exactly what you're up to, so you can provide them with some guidance and wisdom, so that's awesome. I see we only have one comment, and it's from Lee Randall. She says, "I'm so glad business ethics is part of the program. That's the missing ingredient in so many South African workplaces and government departments, and it's absolutely critical for getting our economy back on track. Well done, QASA." So yes, going back to that, just doing what's right when you're in the workplace.
Can I ask Nazeem a question? Hi, Nazeem.
Hi, Zandile.
How are you? Nice to see your face. I always talk to you over the phone.
Yes, you too.
Well, I just want to ask you a question, but I'd first like to start with a compliment that, well, in my conversation with the QAWC, the Western Cape office, they're very happy with you, and we're very proud of that. And I just want to know from you, like, out of all the modules that you've done through the Work Readiness Program, which one stands out for you, and you can say, okay, out of all the modules that I've learned, this one has really helped me. If I hadn't been to the Work Readiness Program and just went directly into the workplace, I wouldn't have known how to do this, or I wouldn't have known how to handle this, or, you know, it really made a difference.
What really made a difference was the module on the interview skills. Because while I was on my internship, so when new candidates came, I was sitting in the interviews with the panel, so that helped a lot. So I was like on the other side of the you see what I mean. So yeah, that helped a lot. And the work that too, and the communications. That module as well.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Both you, Nazeem and Zandile, is there anything else that you would like to say or just note before we finish off the session?
Just that everybody who's listening and anybody who's watching, please feel free to contact us about the Work Readiness Program. And you do have other programs that are available. We are reachable via our social media, via our contact number in the office, via our email addresses. So please feel free to contact us regarding anything that you might have questions for or any concerns.
Anything from you?
No, I'm good.
Great. Thank you guys so much for joining and for giving us your time. Also, thank you to everyone who's watching and listening in. We really, really appreciate it. As Zandile said, QASA has a host of very, very valuable programs, from this work readiness program, which helps you with employment, to driving ambitions, which helps you get your license. So definitely go check it out.